Hello and welcome to the Love is the Cure Foundation podcast.
We're your hosts, Lyndell and Alfonso Vega.
At Love is the Cure Foundation podcast, our mission is to have meaningful conversations that provide support and guidance for families navigating pediatric cancer.
Whether you're just beginning this path or you're deep into the journey, we're here to offer insight into what you might encounter when your child is diagnosed with cancer.
Today, we want to provide you with a concise overview of some of the key topics that we've covered in our podcast episodes. Think of this as a reference guide to help you navigate the early stages of your child's cancer journey. We'll touch on critical moments like your initial meetings with the medical team. We'll explain why it's vital to ensure you fully understand your child's diagnosis and emphasize the importance of asking questions until you're confident that everything is clear. Our goal is to equip you with knowledge and tools to navigate this journey with confidence, hope, and love.
We're here with you every step of the way, so let's get started.
All right, so today it's kind of a question and answer. And so we're going to try to answer each other's questions about this journey. Because it's emotional to us, we have written this down and it makes it a lot easier for us to communicate. So we'll start initially with your child's diagnosis. So your child, as you go into the hospital, you'll, of course, obtain a diagnosis. And you're going to meet with your medical teams, your doctors. The nurses at this point aren't making decisions. They're just there to get you comfortable in your new setting. But you are going to get a diagnosis. And then from there, people are going to come fast and hard with giving you answers and setting up different scenarios for you in the room. Lindy, you're going to have these initial meetings with these teams where you're going to meet new people. It's such a critical time for clearly understanding your child's diagnosis and the treatment plan going forward. So what is important about these first meetings with your child?
Well, these are so important because that first meeting with the medical team really lays the groundwork for everything that lies ahead in your child's treatment journey. I know this can be an overwhelming and emotional time, but understanding the diagnosis and treatment plan from the very beginning can make such a difference. By asking questions and seeking clarification, you're not just getting information, you're empowering yourself to be the best advocate for your child. We know that this isn't always easy. So if you're able to have a little notebook with you or jot it down in your phone, the questions that may be troubling you and that you want your team to answer, this will help you to be more clear-minded when you do finally have the opportunity to speak with someone. Building a strong, trusting relationship with the medical team is crucial, especially when faced with the complexities and the challenges of pediatric cancer. Just remember that you're not alone in this. Your medical team is there to support you every step of the way.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And with our son's journey, we had wonderful medical care teams. We had wonderful people that really helped us get through it, and we never felt alone. So definitely lock into that. We do have some episodes on our podcast that you can check out where we speak to some of our son's nurse practitioners, some of his nurses, and you can get a better insight of what they can provide you as a family in the hospital. But it's absolutely crucial that you do form relationships with them. At the very least, relationships where you ensure to them how important it is that they communicate clearly with you your child's diagnosis and what is going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2 on our list that we want to talk about is meeting with your social worker. We feel that meeting with your social worker soon after the diagnosis and plan of action is put into place is really important. They can offer you so many resources and allow you to feel sort of empowered to understand that there are things available for you as a family to help you navigate this. So, Lindy, why is it important to do this?
Social workers and contacting them is so important because the social worker plays a vital role in supporting your family's overall well-being during the challenging time. While the medical team focuses on your child's treatment, the social worker is there to ensure that your practical needs are met and helping to alleviate some of the stress that comes with extended hospital stays. And by clearly communicating your concerns, whether it's about parking, meals, finding a place to rest, you allow the social worker to provide the assistance you need to focus more fully on your child. This support is crucial in helping you manage the many logistical details that can otherwise become overwhelming, allowing you to direct your energy where it's needed most in your child's care.
Super, super important. Contact your social worker, and there's usually teams of social workers. So if you end up shifting onto different floors, or if you're there in the emergency room on intakes for other things, social workers are just very, very important for filling in the gaps and giving you the resources necessary. They can give you gas cards when you're needing to travel. They can set up sleeping arrangements or try to help you find sleeping arrangements, hospitals or in the hospital or hotels or the Ronald McDonald House. They are the keys to having resources. They can pay your rent or your mortgage. One of the things that we find very important, and this crosses into all facilities, is parking passes at the hospitals. So in our particular case, we were at Boston Children's, and parking is very, very expensive. We have heard of stories where families were not aware that these resources were available to them and ended up out of pocket for very large amounts of money up to a year later when they finally found out about these parking passes being available. Your social worker, communicate with them that you need this, that you need help with paying for parking and that sort of thing. I know at the Jimmy Fund, it's a little bit different. They actually give you a parking key card that swipes you in and swipes you out of the facility, and that can really, really be helpful. So don't underestimate the resources that your social worker has at their fingertips and can really pass these things on to you and your family.
Yeah. And don't just think that your needs are silly or that they just pertain to you. These people understand what your unique needs are, and they're willing to meet you there and help you.
Absolutely. Food, parking, sleeping.
Other family logistics, helping with extended family, other children.
Yeah. And, we want to bring that up. We haven't talked about that often. We were a single child home. So we only have had our son, Inigo. So we are aware about how we don't know what it would be like to go through something like this with multiple children. So we would also suggest that the social worker can be vital in making sure to connect your family together as you go through something like this, and can also provide you resources to help you deal with also having to take care of your other kids through this process. So, but we don't know a lot about that. But
ask your social worker.
Yeah. Okay. Number four that we have written down, number 3 is chaplain or spiritual care services. Spiritual care services was something that we utilized. And we utilized it because we actually developed a relationship with Rabbi Susan at Boston Children's Hospital. And we don't know if we would have utilized it otherwise, but we found it to be so beneficial and so surprisingly enjoyable. So, Lindy, why is chaplain services important to utilize in a hospital space?
Well, chaplain services can provide a unique kind of support during a very challenging time. Even if you're not particularly religious, chaplains are there to listen and help you navigate the emotional and spiritual aspects of your journey. They offer a compassionate presence and support that can be incredibly comforting. Their role is to help you process your feelings and find a bit of solace amidst the chaos. We've talked about the benefits of these services in one of our podcast episodes, and we truly believe that chaplains can offer valuable support when you need it the most.
So spiritual care services, if you're not a particularly religious family or your child hasn't been raised that way, we think it's still a valuable resource to utilize. I think something really important that Rabbi Susan said in our episode that we really take heart with is she said, I cannot offer your child medication. I can't do anything for them medically, but what I can offer is myself. And I find that such a beautiful statement, and how in this type of situation, very many times, all we can do for each other is offer ourselves, offer a helping hand or an ear to hear and to listen. And that's what chaplain services was for us. Yeah. It created another outlet outside of maybe therapy of other types for us as parents. And so it was really, really special.
Mm-hmm. And it's a service that's free of any pressure. They're not there to proselytize anything to you. They're just there to meet your human, maybe even spiritual needs if you're willing to go that far. But they are just there to talk, and they are a really great resource. Absolutely.
And, now that you bring that up, Rabbi Susan was the person that we were in contact with at Spiritual Care Services, but we are not Jewish. And so that's a great point about proselytizing. We weren't there to proselytize to her, and she wasn't there to do the same to us. It was simply a human connection, a relationship, and a meeting of the minds, of the heart, having great conversations. And it was so valuable to us that we have a friend for life in Rabbi Susan. So that is something that we absolutely tell other parents. It's an important service to utilize.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving quickly along. Number 4, one of the things that you're going to do daily after your child's diagnosis while you're in the hospital is you're going to go through daily rounds with your medical care teams for your child. Lindy, can you explain to us what are daily rounds, why you should be a part of them? You don't have to be a part of them. It is voluntary, but we do suggest it. What are daily rounds and why are they important?
So daily rounds is when, like you were saying, the medical team will come in one time during the day to, do an overview with you as a family and your child about the state of your child's health, what the plan is for the day or the next coming week, however long you're there, and a check-in for you as well if you have any questions or concerns. This is just so crucial because daily rounds are where you get the detailed update, critical information about your child's treatment and progress, like I said. And at places like Boston Children's Hospital, these rounds are managed by the nurse practitioners, and they play a key role in your child's care. They are there with your child and you daily. It's important to fully understand what's being discussed during these rounds because information, again, helps you make the most informed decisions and actively participate in your child's care. If anything is unclear, asking questions ensures that you have the knowledge you need and fosters better communication with the medical team. And the clarity helps you feel more confident and empowered as you support your child through their treatment and journey.
Yeah, so that's the idea of if you have issues remembering, which you will, because you go through a lot of stress in this type of journey. You go through a lot. There's a lot of things coming at you. So this is, I love Lindy's idea of making sure you have a little notebook with you, or you take notes on your phone app. It is so important for you to write down notes so that you can communicate these things clearly to your team, and they will take the time to explain them to you. As you build relationships with your nurse practitioners, really push them on things that are making you anxious, push them on things that are not clear to you. Some of the other things that you can do is have them explain medications to you. I know that was one of the things that for me was challenging, because I wanted to understand how some of these medications worked. And some of these medications have very, very serious side effects when it comes to cancer treatment. And those side effects I needed to know more about so that I could help make better informed decisions about Inigo's care. And your nurse practitioners will take the time to explain, to print things for you with information on it. They will really, really inform you. So daily rounds, write things down, ask questions. Don't be afraid to make decisions. You are the parent. And with those powers of being the parent, you get to make decisions. Don't ever feel that you do not get to make decisions. And it's those daily rounds that you go through that will enable you to be informed about what is your team's decisions that they're making, and then what are the decisions that you want to make as a parent.
Yeah.
All right. Moving quickly, or maybe not so quickly at this point. Step number 5. That moves us perfectly into connecting with your child's nurses. We have a great episode with one of our son's nurses, Carly, and another episode with one of our son's nurses, Doug. But Carly's episode in particular was about the emotional connections that are made with nurses. So if you're interested, go find that episode. It's a really, really wonderful conversation about allowing your child to connect, to fall in love, to communicate with your nurses in a way that makes the environment better for them. But Lindy, you're a nurse. Explain to us why it's so important to connect with your child's nurses.
Yeah, it's so necessary and important because nurses are your primary caregivers, and they will be with you and your child throughout their treatment. They are often the first to notice any changes in your child's condition, and they can provide immediate support and assistance. By maintaining open and respectful communication with them, you ensure that your concerns are addressed promptly and that any issues are managed effectively. Building a positive relationship with your nurses not only fosters a supportive atmosphere, but also enhances your child's care experience. Nurses strive to create a comfortable and reassuring environment for both your child and your family.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Nurses are amazing people. They are giving and loving and caring. And you will find that they're even doing stuff outside of the hospital to love on your child, which is really, really such a beautiful thing. We do want to touch on one thing outside of connecting with your nurses, but along with this idea, there will be some nurses that you may possibly not connect with. And we want to be honest about that. You have the opportunity and the ability to talk to your other teams at the hospital, wherever you're at, to let them know if you feel uncomfortable with any of your child's care from your nurses. We don't feel it's appropriate for parents to be picking their nurses in particular, but we do feel it is appropriate for you to pay attention. And if you don't feel that a particular nurse is connecting with you in a way that you feel is appropriate, then you need to make it known to your other teams, your medical teams. There's nurse managers on the floor. There are, once again, you can talk to your social workers about this, charge nurse, and you can have that situation remedied. So I just wanted to touch on that just for honesty.
You have that as a right. Yeah.
A resource. Okay. Moving on to psychological services. So we did talk about the spiritual care teams, and we feel that this falls into that. Why are psychological services a valuable resource that is available at the hospital?
Well, it's important because coping with a pediatric cancer diagnosis can be incredibly emotional and overwhelming for both the child and parents, siblings. So having access to psychology services provides a crucial outlet for you to express your feelings, fears, and concerns in a supportive and confidential setting. Psychologists are trained to help you navigate the complex emotions that come with this challenging time, offering strategies to manage stress and maintain emotional well-being. Whether they visit you in your room or meet with you privately, their support complements other resources like spiritual care, ensuring that you have multiple avenues for emotional support. And utilizing this resource helps you maintain your own mental health, which is vital for staying strong and focused for your child's care.
Yeah. We knew that they were always there for us if we needed them. They would check in with our nurses. Our nurse would let us know. And so they were always in the background, especially as we came towards the end of our son's life. They would make their appearance a little bit more. But once again, we never felt pressured to need to talk to anybody or that we needed to step away from our son and talk to someone. But we thought it was a very valuable resource. And many times you will want to use this as a parent, where, like Lindy was saying, they can meet with you outside of the room. There's conference rooms. You can meet down the hallway by the windows. There's so many different ways that they will meet with you to communicate, where you can communicate to them your fears and what you're going through. They're also someone that you can divulge things to in a confidential manner, but they're also someone very much like the social worker, very much like the spiritual care team, that if you do want to divulge something to them that needs to be communicated to your medical care teams, they're open and able to do that as well, from a standpoint of trying to help you deal with things emotionally as you go through this for your own mental health. Okay, moving on to other therapy services that there are at the hospital. So we're dealing with physical therapy for children, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. Those are the main things that we utilized for our son. And our son developed a syndrome called posterior fossa syndrome, which we have done multiple episodes on our podcast about. So if you're interested, go check those out. We really, really want to be advocates for children with posterior fossa syndrome. It is not something that is well understood. There's a lot of studies going on about it. There's a lot of testing that's being done to really try to figure out its effects long-term, short-term. But for us, it was very, very, very important to utilize physical, occupational, and speech therapy. Lindy, why would it be important for a family to utilize these things?
So using these therapy services is crucial because they play a significant role in your child's recovery and overall well-being. Therapies, again, such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech, are all tailored to address various aspects of your child's health and development and helping improve their physical abilities, daily functioning, and communication skills. These services, provided daily while your child is inpatient, are essential for maximizing recovery and enhancing quality of life, especially for someone with posterior fossa syndrome, like it was for our son Inigo. By fully engaging in these therapies, you support your child's progress and recovery. Continuing therapy activities at home, as recommended by your care team, can further bolster this progress and positively impact your child's mood and resilience. Our own experience highlighted how maintaining these therapy practices, even outside of the hospital, was beneficial in supporting our son's development and emotional well-being. In essence, making the most of these therapy services can lead to substantial improvements in your child's overall health and support their journey toward recovery.
Amen again. We are big advocates of therapies. We feel that you can't get enough of them. And so just to talk a little bit about what Lindy's saying here about doing these therapies outside. So once you become once you're not inpatient anymore and you're outside the hospital, your therapies move into
outpatient settings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so because of that, you're going to feel like maybe it's not so intense as maybe it was in the hospital setting. That's okay. Talk to your outpatient therapy teams and explain to them what it is that you're looking to do. And what I mean by that is more therapies. And they can set up little goals for you at home that you can do. So what we had here at home, we had exercise bands. We had, our son had a recumbent bike that during the winter we would set up inside the house on a spinner. And so we would set up on TV. They have different spin class setups,
like a virtual tour of somewhere. You can choose wherever.
So he
put
would
it up on a screen.
Yeah, so he would ride through like Moab or like different parts of the country. He would do rail trails in Washington State. And it was great therapy for him, both to keep his heart and lungs strong, but to keep his legs moving, because a child with posterior fossa syndrome doesn't walk in the same way that they did before the syndrome. So that's what we mean about extra therapies. And what Lindy was saying is that talk to your team. They will help you set up a little plan. We were given exercise bands, different weights that Indigo could work on. And then we ordered our own things that we needed. So Indigo had small weighted balls that were, I don't know, about
like a miniature medicine ball.
Yeah, medicine balls that he could do shoulder presses, and he would work on his basketball shooting motion, or he would work on his baseball throwing motion. And so it was great to do these extras outside of the facility, because once again, it's going to feel like you walk out of the hospital and you go into these outpatient settings, and maybe it's not as intense as you want or your child is desiring for. So Indigo's desire was always to get back to 100% normalcy from posterior fossa syndrome. And so that really drove him to do more physical activities.
Yeah, he did. He also played a lot with putty, like therapeutic putty. He desperately wanted to go back to drawing again and get control over his hands and fingers in a way that he used to. So putty was a big one for him, and like getting his hand strength back for writing. He just loved to write stories and draw. So that was another one really important to him.
Carving,
soap. Soap carving with a...
Yeah. So that's what we mean is physical, occupational, and speech. Have long conversations with your kids. Talk to them about deep thoughts and about their fears, about all this sort of stuff. That's good thinking talk therapy. And then for those other things, offer them the extra stuff that they're not going to do in the hospitals. Like Lindy was saying, write stories that your kid was always wanting to write. Allow them to do that and enable that creativity. So, work on extra stuff. All right. Another important thing, moving on to our next, I think we're on number 8. Our next thing would be to encourage movement. Why are these extra therapies and movement, why are those things important?
Well, in addition to the structured therapies like physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, etc., incorporating movement into your child's daily routine can be highly beneficial. While there will be ample time for rest, it is essential to encourage your child to engage in light activities, getting out of bed, sitting up in a chair, moving around the room, or even enjoying some fresh air up on the hospital roof can significantly enhance both their mood and overall well-being. These simple activities not only help break up the monotony of a hospital stay, but they also contribute positively to physical and emotional health. And beyond movement, art and educational therapies can offer valuable stimulation and emotional support. We've discussed these therapies, like you mentioned before, in previous podcast episodes, and strongly recommend utilizing all available resources. Engaging in these additional activities can complement the structured therapies and help maintain a sense of normalcy and positivity during the challenging times.
Absolutely. All right. Lastly, we have one last tip for all of you. And this is very different from all those other things. So those other things are important because there are things that you're going to deal with in a hospital setting or when you get back home for therapies. But we think it's very important. So going over them once again, your child's going to obtain a diagnosis. From there, you're going to meet with your medical care teams. It's important for you to zero in on what your needs are and to then meet with the social worker so that you guys can discuss how to fulfill those needs and how to get the resources necessary. You're then going to meet with your nurse. From that point, spiritual care services will be available to you. Psychological services will be available to you. That will kind of set you up to living in the hospital or back at home, but going through the process of your child now has cancer and this is how you deal with it. So it's important for you to connect with your medical care teams and with your nurses. Then from that point, you're going to have therapies. And you're going to deal with some of these therapies inpatient, and then you're going to deal with these therapies outside. And these are really, really important in our estimation because it helped our son so much with the effects of posterior fossa syndrome. And as we've said before and in our podcast, we know that there are no metrics to bolster what we are saying. But from our own experience, it is amazing what we saw our son accomplish by putting his wholehearted efforts into therapies.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So as we finish those out, our very last practical tip are go bags. What are go bags, Lindy? And did we have go bags?
Yes, we did. It's kind of like, an expecting mother type thing where you have a bag ready to go at any moment. You never know, when you might need to go rush right back into the hospital for something. So preparing go bags is crucial because it helps you manage the unpredictability and the stress of sudden hospital visits. When facing an emergency or unexpected hospital stay, having these bags packed with essentials like changes of clothes, toiletries, activity items, tech essentials, and snacks ensures you're ready to focus on your child's needs without additional worry about gathering the necessities on the go. These prepared bags can make a significant difference in easing the emotional and logistical strain of a hospital visit, and they help you stay organized and reduce the last-minute rush, allowing you to respond calmly and efficiently to unexpected situations. By having everything you need readily accessible, you can devote your energy to supporting your child and navigating their care, rather than being distracted by the stress of the last-minute prep.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times we ended up in the hospital and Inigo was hungry and we were in the emergency room. Man, those go bags really helped us. Like we had snacks ready for him and he could eat something. Or we'd end up in an emergency situation once again and your phone needs charging because you need to be able to communicate with people, or our kiddo wants to watch a YouTube video or something. You want them to have that distraction. So, man, we had our phone chargers with us, or we had earbuds, headphones so that he could watch things on his iPad that he wanted. So, and then we always had fresh changes of clothes, like Lindy said, and that is vital. It's vital because for a kid like ours, he didn't want to wear his hospital gowns. He didn't want to, he wanted to have some normalcy. So it was important for us to have things that he could feel comfortable wearing. He could have an activities bag, his writing stuff because he loved to write stories.
His markers.
Yeah, because he loved to draw. So go bags, go bags, go bags. We know it sounds so obvious. All of you have had children because that's why you're watching this. And if you have children, you've prepped go bags at some point.
Yeah.
And it's really vital. So we talk about that as just a preparedness thing because it is relieving of stress. When you have these things prepared and you're ready to go, it makes you more efficient so that you can be 100% hands-on with your child.
Yeah. So
that's it for today. We've talked about a lot of things that we feel are important. From understanding your child's diagnosis and connecting with your medical care teams, to utilizing support services and preparing for emergencies. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are many resources available to you, and by taking proactive steps, you can better support your child and yourself during this time. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Love is the Cure Foundation podcast. Go love on someone. We all need it.